Before you install any new set of locks or braids, you have to deal with the reality of root buildup. A clean, detoxed scalp is a non-negotiable prerequisite if you want the style to actually last. Historically, the community standard for removing this buildup has been a heavy DIY basin soak using raw apple cider vinegar and baking soda. But this checklist scorecard highlights the core dilemma of that method. The cheap DIY route forces you to make an impossible choice. You can have a clean scalp or hydrated hair, rarely both. Plus, the traditional dunk is messy, eats up hours, and heavily strips your cuticles. So today, we are evaluating an alternative, the ToxiTress Scalp Reset Ritual. We're going to look at whether a targeted premium system actually solves the mechanical and chemical failures of the traditional DIY basin dunk. Because if you want to optimize your long-term protective styling success, you have to move past brute force DIY methods and look at exactly what you're putting your hair through. This comparison matrix breaks down the physical reality of both methods. Under the DIY column, the application requires mixing raw ingredients in a large basin and physically submerging your head for 10 to 20 minutes. The direct outcome of that submersion is complete hair saturation, contaminated water constantly dripping down your neck, and a massive bathroom cleanup once you're done. It also requires continuous squeezing and massaging while you're bent awkwardly over a sink, leading to heavy neck strain and physical discomfort. Over on the ToxiTress side, the input changes entirely. You mix their extract mineral cleanse powder with water to create a thick clay mask. You apply this mask directly to the scalp and roots. It lifts the buildup exactly where it sits, without touching or soaking the full lengths of your hair. By targeting the application strictly at the root isolation zone, you eliminate the physical basin mess and recover a significant amount of prep time. But the application mess is secondary to the chemical reality. When you combine raw baking soda and liquid ACV directly on the hair shaft, it aggressively strips away your natural oils. This 12-month timeline chart maps out the consequence of that chemical stripping. To avoid severe brittleness and breakage, a raw DIY soak is strictly limited to 1 to 3 uses per year. If you are a frequent installer, changing your styles every 3 to 4 weeks, that infrequency leaves you without a safe scalp prep option for the vast majority of the year. The ToxiTress system takes a different chemical approach. It uses a mineral detox complex of bentonite, kaolin, and activated charcoal, paired with a lightweight Purify oil elixir. These specific ingredients bind to impurities and lift them away gently, avoiding the aggressive moisture depletion caused by raw baking soda. Because the formula balances the detox with immediate hydration, it is safe to use before every single install. Altering the chemical approach takes scalp detoxing from a rare, hair-damaging chore and turns it into a sustainable, routine habit. The other massive liability of the DIY method involves thick protective styles. Dunking the chur dreadlocks or heavily braided hair into a basin forces massive moisture retention deep inside the lock matrix. This cross-section diagram illustrates the severe risk of that waterlogging. If that inner core is not dried 100% perfectly, the trapped moisture directly breeds mildew, resulting in damp, sour odors. ToxiTress uses a dry ACV powder called the Restore Botanical Infusion, completely omitting liquid vinegar. This dry approach captures the pH balancing benefits, but because it only interacts with the outer layer, the lock's core remains completely dry. You then finish the ritual with their Velvet Clean Scent Mist, which uses notes of orange, lavender, vanilla, and sandalwood to actively neutralize and mask any trapped odors. Removing the liquid submersion element entirely engineers the risk of mildew out of the equation and replaces the lingering vinegar smell with a premium scent architecture. Finally, we have to look at the hidden costs of the DIY method. Eyeballing raw pantry ingredients means you are always guessing at the chemical ratios. And because raw baking soda leaves a heavy, gritty residue behind, you often end up buying extra clarifying shampoos just to wash the DIY treatment out of your hair. Compare that chaotic kitchen chemistry with the pre-portioned ToxiTress Install Survival Kit. The kit provides step-by-step instruction cards, reusable mixing tools, and perfectly portioned formulas right out of the box. Investing in a dedicated pre-portioned system removes the unpredictable variables of kitchen chemistry, guaranteeing a consistent, professional-grade result without requiring extra rescue products. The ultimate reality of the DIY ACV soak is that it is a relic. It belongs to an era that lacked specific science for protective styles and relied entirely on brute force chemistry. This quadrant chart maps our two options. If you value your time and prioritize healthy moisture retention, the ToxiTress system lands perfectly in the high-health, low-mess quadrant. For users installing styles every 3 to 4 weeks, utilizing a hydrating detox system is a functional requirement to prevent cumulative yearly damage. But if you are a strict budget purist who refuses to upgrade from pantry staples, you land here in the low-health, high-mess quadrant. If you stay loyal to the DIY method, you must respect its limitations. Restrict your usage to 3 times a year maximum, and invest heavily in rigorous, multi-hour drying times to avoid irreversible mildew. But for anyone prioritizing long-term hair health and time optimization, ToxiTress successfully engineers the mess, the guesswork, and the damage completely out of the protective style prep routine.